Yeah.
I like when it's straight up and down. It's erect. It's not droopy. That's what I like. I don't like anything droopy.
Yeah, but it's inevitable. Gravity always wins.
Yeah, that's why I stand on my head.
If you couldn't tell, that's why I look like a pear. That and some other stuff. Apparently, complex white carbs are not the appropriate thing to look for all the time when you're eating food.
I know. You're supposed to mix in bacon. Yeah,
At least that's
lots
keto.
Of protein. Yeah.
Hey, speaking of things that you could eat, we could have eaten for a couple days on the spider that I killed down here when we walked in.
I'm not going to lie. It was the
Boone and
biggest
Croc.
spider. It
Boone
was
and
the
Croc spider.
biggest spider I've ever seen.
Dude, that's the third one.
All right.
Fourth one I've killed down here in the last 3 years.
I know they're called wolf spiders. That was a dire wolf spider.
I actually think it's called a Fisher spider.
That thing was off of Game of Thrones.
It's
Okay.
It's Narnar. When we first bought this house, we did a bunch of work to it before we moved in. And so I'd come over periodically and I'd move mounts in or random stuff once the basement was finished. Stuff I really care about.
Yeah.
Not like my wife's shit. And
your clothes and stuff like that were outside.
Yeah,
getting the mounts in.
I do care about my camouflage, my mounts, my bow stuff. That stuff I moved everywhere. So I came down into the basement, which is where we film all this stuff. And right over in that corner, I looked down and there was a spider the size of a effing dinner plate, dude. Twice the size of the one that we just saw.
Dude, that was the biggest one I've ever seen.
And for reference, the spider that we just saw was what? It was about baseball size, would you say?
If it spread its legs out, yeah, without
maybe a little
been,
bigger than a baseball.
Yeah, it would have at least
almost
been the diameter.
softball size. Yeah,
yeah. The body on it was
it's huge.
my thumb.
Yeah. So I saw a spider, no shit, twice that size down here in the corner.
Yeah.
And so I looked over and I was like, woo! And I'm like, oh no. And I'm like, what? I gotta sell this house. I gotta burn this bitch down. So I took a, God, what did I have? I had a,
It had to have been something important.
some type of whacking stick. Yeah, it's like a baseball bat from when we went to the ATA in Louisville and we wasted $100 a piece on baseball bats or whatever. So I swung it at this spider and I missed. And the thing was scurrying back into the cabinet right there. And I was like, oh, and I just reactively swung it backwards and smooshed it literally millimeters before it got back under the cabinet. I swear, if that thing had made it under the cabinet, I don't think I would have moved into this house. Biggest spider I've ever seen.
You're a big baby about stuff like
Dude,
that, aren't you?
I do not like big spiders.
No.
I used to be terribly phobic of spiders before I got into hunting. I mean, terrified of them.
So what do you do when you're walking through the woods, especially now,
Summertime,
early season?
I don't care at all.
When the webs are hitting you in the face and stuff like that. I hate that.
I
pull an arrow out and I just I'm fencing in
I
front
do
of
a
myself.
stick. I take a stick and I go make a little figure eights. And get you, Eric. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. They don't bother me. I just don't like the webs all over my face. And
So I used to be really not into spiders. Now I really don't care unless they're spiders like that. I'm like, dude, that thing is not. I'm not letting it live.
that would injure your dog. That thing was so big.
That would have killed my dog. I think. I'm like, I feel like you could lose a limb with one of those things.
Yes. So speaking of arachnids, ticks are terrible this year.
Dude, well, look, I declared jihad on ticks last year. So inshallah to you.
Yeah.
I do not mess with ticks, and that's actually a good topic. By the way, I just noticed you got a new phone finally.
I did.
Smash yours.
Yeah, I smashed it multiple times.
Yeah.
I dropped it. Was I?
Yeah, it was over here. It was completely destroyed. The screen was
that's right. And it was
black.
flickering green, and then a couple days later, it started working again. I was like, "Oh, these things usually get better, don't they?" No, they don't.
Get better, boo boo.
No, it definitely didn't get better, but yeah, it works just fine now.
That's perfect
because it's new.
And I'm actually impressed that you have a case on this thing.
Yeah. Usually, what happens is those cases don't always, conduct the wireless charging.
Yeah.
So you take them off and put it on the charger in my
That's when it
vehicle or
smashes.
something, and then I always forget to put the case back on. So
That's why
jump out of the truck and drops on the pavement. Terrible.
I have the Mouse MOUS case. Wireless charges.
Oh yeah, maybe I need to get that.
They're kind of spendy. I think they're like $50, but
I think all of them are like $50 or $60.
I mean, the phone's like $1,200. So $50 to protect it, it's really not that bad. It's like one round of shots at the bar.
Shots.
Everybody. I wonder what Lil Jon's doing right now. Shots,
probably. Probably. He's in Buckhead. Speaking of Buckhead, do you hear about all the like crazy murders? I mean, Buckhead's never been like super safe. You hear about all the crazy murders down there?
No.
Oh my gosh, they're worse than ever.
This is like drug related?
No, I think it's race related.
Oh, it's like
it's bad news.
No good.
Now, when we used to live there in Atlanta, or just north of Atlanta, we'd go there because that's where all the clubs are. I'm not going there anymore.
Shocker.
No, thank you.
Well, yeah, I was in Minnesota not too long ago. Experienced my first little bit of racism. Not cool.
What were you doing there?
Doing some tethered stuff.
Yeah.
And I got called a cracker.
You deserved it.
I was walking down the street, and some gentlemen, they were not gentlemen. They were very rude people walking past me. The guy looked at me and said, F you cracker MFA. And I was like, me? Like, cool, dude. Like, okay.
Was anything burning?
No, but that town is gone to the shit creek pretty quickly.
I don't think out in like
I'm not rushing to go back.
Yeah, right. Out in Portland, isn't there an area there still under siege?
Yeah,
it's basically seceded from the Union.
Yeah.
Last time that happened, there was a civil war.
I had a history teacher in college. His whole retirement plan. This guy was obviously crazy, but his theory was that if he seceded from the Union and fired a shot at like a soldier, declared war, and then surrendered, the government would have to pay him some sort of like settlement, post-war settlement. And so he was like, I can make millions and just fire a shot. He's like, I'm not going to hurt anybody, but I'm going to fire a shot. I was like, okay, Mr. Tenley, good luck with that, sir.
He's the same type of guy who says, no, you don't have to pay taxes personally.
Yeah,
you don't have to pay taxes.
He also told me he didn't have to go to class, and he gave me a D.
Jerk.
Yeah. Withdraw.
Yeah, that's when you're like getting a bad grade. That's when you're like, well, I guess I'm going to drop out of this class.
I only took 3 credits this semester. Really thought this women's studies class was going to go differently. Drop.
I haven't studied one woman in this class.
Well, I've studied all of them. That's why they don't like me. They told me I'm not allowed back.
No, my favorite class was scuba diving.
That's pretty badass.
That was a good class. I had to take an elective, I don't even think I got a credit for it. I think it was a no credit elective that you had to take. I'm going through all of them and like basket weaving and pottery and stuff like that. Scuba diving, yeah, solid. And then
you get certified.
Yes, that was part of it. All I had to do was do the final dive. It wasn't required for the class, but to get certified, you had to do that final dive. I never went and did it.
Shocker.
I never got certified. So now if I want to do it again, I have to go through like
the whole thing.
Yeah.
Or you could just go to Mexico and they're like throw you in the pool.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, no die. You good.
No, that's a no for me. I want to go to a legitimate place.
It's like skydiving. It's like, yeah, you just jump. No, thanks.
No, well, in World War II, when like the 101st Airborne went out, I mean, these folks were, fresh out of their homes,
kids.
Right? They were kids. They had like a couple jumps, like a couple. And then it was like, all right, D-Day, guys, come on, let's jump.
Dude, I had a guy I used to work with at the golf course when I was growing up. He was a Vietnam vet, and his name was Terry. And this guy was crazy. Terry told me that during the Vietnam War, he was drafted. And so if you became a paratrooper, they like took 6 months off your enlistment time, right? And he was like, yeah, my buddies and I, we'd like drop acid, jump out of the plane behind enemy lines. He's like, you'd be walking around, you'd see a bush moving, you'd shoot the bush, and it turned out to be a Viet Cong. He's like, shit was wild, man. And I remember thinking, dude, if I'm drafted, I'm certainly not signing up to jump out of the planes behind enemy lines. Like, I'll go fight, but we're going to do it intelligently. Maybe I'll try to become an officer, you know? So I'm like on the 4th wave. I'm certainly not dropping acid before I jump out of the plane into a combat zone.
No.
Like, I want to be sharp. I'm not like dropping acid and smoking hash and all this stuff.
I wonder how common things like that were.
Apparently it was, I mean, granted, this is one dude.
This is one guy, yeah.
Apparently there was like really bad drug usage during the Vietnam War for soldiers. The average life expectancy, I think, for those guys was like 18 minutes in the war. I mean, they had like
if they're going out, it's like, we're going out hard.
Yeah, but I'm not going out dropping acid. I mean, like, at least give me a chance to survive.
There was, I just read a book. Do you know
Clifford?
Yes. The Big Red Dog. Andy Weir is the author. He wrote The Martian. Did you see that movie with Matt Damon?
Matt Damon.
Yeah. Great. It's a great movie, but the book's fantastic, right? Well, he came out with another one, and there's a suicide mission that these astronauts have to go on.
Oh, I've seen this movie too. Armageddon?
No. No. Oh, God, Ben Affleck.
You're my hero.
Anyway, on the suicide mission, they know they're going to croak because they don't even have, like, energy to get back. So they're going out to, like, some other galaxy or something stupid.
This is Armageddon.
So they choose. It's not Armageddon. So
is Liv Tyler in it?
No. They choose how they're going to kill themselves. And one guy's like, I'll take a gun. Another one's like, I'll do this. And the one lady, Russian lady, shocker, she's like, give me a gallon of vodka and as much tar heroin as you can possibly get. I'm going out hard.
This was before they got on the spacecraft?
Yeah, no, that was during training. No, that was like, I don't know, it was the way that they could
choose.
Yeah, they could choose how to croak.
I mean, I guess.
My old man always says, he's like, man, if I get dementia or Alzheimer's or anything like that, he said, put me in my lightest camo clothing in a tree stand, no bow, no gun or anything. Just put me up there when it's negative 40 outside and let me go out that way. He's like, I won't know the difference. That's not a bad idea.
I just want to go out peacefully in my sleep like my grandfather did instead of screaming like all the passengers did. That's that old joke.
Oh, God. Right to hell.
Yeah, there's a special room. Hopefully there's bourbon there.
I doubt it. Yeah, there's going to be bourbon there, and it'll be a bottle that you can never open.
It's like hot devil semen bourbon.
Oh, God.
Gross, like, make you drink it. Was that Dante's Inferno?
Mm-hmm.
All the
that was required reading.
Rungs of Hell. I read the Cliff Notes. Cliff Notes were great.
I read it all, just didn't remember any of it.
Yeah, shocker. Are Cliff Notes still a thing?
No. Now there's a thing called the internet.
Oh, yeah.
It's like summary of any book in the world. Yeah.
There's probably like 1 million YouTube videos on it.
You know, when you were in school, did they have the plagiarism apps? Where
like scanned it and looked for like phrases and stuff. Yeah.
They didn't have that when I was in school. Now, apparently, I mean, they have a lot of false positives on things. Like, kids are getting kicked out of schools and things for...
I would imagine because, like, there's only so many ways to word and phrase something. And so if you increase your sample size high enough, then...
I know. If you're reading Clifford the Big Red Dog, you can only retell it so many different ways.
Yeah. Well, it's the... I have a buddy of mine when we were in Spanish class. This was, like, back in the late 90s when the internet was, like, first coming out. There was some like freetranslation.com and you would enter your text in one block and there was a drop down menu and it'd be like English to Spanish, English to whatever, and it would translate it down. And I'll never forget our professor. She was this really hot, like foreign exchange student or whatever. And she's like pissed. She's like, apparently, she's like, all this like verb conjugation is like more advanced than we ever taught you guys. So you clearly, all of you cheated. And then one of you apparently learned Latin overnight. And so one of my buddies did the scroll wheel one too many times. Instead of English to Spanish, it was English to Latin. He did like a 3-page paper in Latin.
And didn't know.
Of course not. Yeah, that's like that Bert Kreischer thing. Where he's like took 4 years of Russian. He's like year 4. He's like the whole class is taught in Russian. He's like, can you imagine sitting in a class with a language that you don't speak?
Yeah, every foreign language class that I ever took.
Yeah, the machine. So, anyways, that was a nice little 30-minute talk through the beginning. But you talked about ticks. I will never hunt. I mean, previously I never hunted.
I will never hunt again.
Yeah, I'm done. I quit. I never hunted to begin with. I don't know why you people are listening. I will never go in the woods without very severely treated permethrin clothing.
Yeah.
You have to do it.
Yeah, I was riding around on the Polaris yesterday with my daughter. We go out and look for, as she calls them, stinky old rabbits. She, for some reason, hates rabbits. She's a cute little girl. She's 3 years old, and she hates rabbits.
That's awesome.
Hates them.
They're flea and tick-infested little carriers.
I guess so. We're looking for stinky old rabbits. And just driving, we didn't get out of the Polaris or anything, just driving around. And there were ticks crawling on the inside of that thing just from driving through high grass. I hate those things.
Dude, in Africa, the ticks were so bad. I remember, so ticks obviously can tell right away when the blood has stopped moving in their host. And they just it's like rats on a ship. the gemsbuck that I shot, when we winched that thing back up in the truck bed, there were thousands of them just coming out of the carcass.
Dude, that's gross.
It was so gross.
The first time I went there, they had these, it was some apparatus where at the water holes, they would have these small wooden platforms that the animals had to step on. And when they stepped on to walk, they kind of funneled them into these water holes and made them step on these wooden platform type things. And from the sides and up higher, waist high, it would squirt out permethrin. And so some of the animals, you'd see they'd have a squirt line down the side of them. And because we didn't know what it was, and we asked the PH, he was like, oh, yeah, that's permethrin for the ticks. He said the ticks would wipe out herds of animals.
My gemsbuck was a male. His scrotum, non-existent. Testicles, non-existent. And I was like, WTF, bro, to our PH.
You got sucked dry?
No, he said that the ticks will attach on there. They'll eat their way through the scrotum eventually. The balls will drop down, and they'll get caught on some brush and ripped off.
Oh.
I was like, man, I bet this gemsbuck was so happy to die.
He jumped in front of your arrow.
I was like, that's what I felt like when I got married. Love you, babe.
Yeah, I was talking to Greg the other day, and we were talking about that Sika deer hunt we're going to go on, and I told him, bring 2 thermocells. We haven't had many ticks at that area so far. I mean, we just really started hunting there, but the mosquitoes down there are just
awful.
Oh my gosh. And we're going to go in mid-October. He was like, oh, it'll probably be a lot cooler by then. I'm like, bro, I've hunted down there in mid-October. It's a swamp. They will carry you away.
Yeah, they're brutal.
Yeah. Bugs, spiders, ticks. This is the
I'm very excited for that hunt, by the way.
Yeah, I'm pumped too. I'm pumped.
I'm very excited.
We're definitely getting some good some good pictures. Definitely getting some good pictures.
Oh,
right now.
yeah. I thought you were saying we are going to get good pictures on the hunt. And I was like,
yeah. Sunsets.
We? Yeah.
Hey, by the way, when we go there, there's a rule. If you see a coyote, you have to shoot at it. Whether you have a shot or not, you have to shoot at it. If you don't, you're penalized.
You do not have to tell me to shoot things. I'm more than happy to put carbon in the air.
Dude, there's a coyote there that it's got to weigh 75, 80 pounds. It is huge. Looks like a wolf.
I shot one down the street from here that weighed almost 90 pounds. When I held, it was a female.
That was a German Shepherd.
I took the collar off.
I thought it was a GPS collar, but it said Rover.
It said Fido. Police canine. I don't know. But when I saw that dog, that wolf, I mean, I thought it was a police canine. It took me a second to realize what it was, and then I shot it.
Yeah, they get big around here.
It was a female, and she was humongous. When I held her hocks up, her snout was almost touching the ground. Mm-hmm. I'm 6'3". Mm-hmm. Like that's huge.
I wonder if they're breeding with dogs.
I think they are. I mean, I read that previous to, like, there's a large coyote population in the area now.
Mm-hmm.
And routinely I'll hear them howling actually at night on my back deck, like in the woods back here. And granted, there's probably a good amount of them here because I bring so many gut piles home that I just like throw out in my backyard that, they're probably a trap. Yeah, I'm feeding them. Not, on purpose, but it's just whatever. But yeah, they're gnarly. They're huge. Like, there are a lot of them around. And I think that when there aren't big pockets of them, they are breeding with dogs. And there's a whole bunch of, like, coy wolf, dog,
yeah.
weird stuff in it.
I prefer to shoot everyone that I see because they're hard to kill. I mean, they're hard to get drawn on. They're real. They're
like
a big challenge.
Yeah.
They're a big challenge. They really are. And I don't like demonize them. I don't look at them like, oh, kill everyone or anything like that. No,
It's a challenge.
Yeah,
I like shooting them.
It's a big challenge.
Plus, I like putting carbon in the air, so it's a good thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, it's right now. It's what? It's July, June. It's
We're
almost July.
Almost in July. Yeah.
Jeez, I don't know what month it is. It's hey, and we are stone cold sober. That's a sad thing.
I know. I'm drinking water.
Yeah. What is that stuff?
It's water.
It's where fish have sex.
Yeah, I know. I just got it out of your toilet.
It's probably cleaner than the tap with all those spiders. Yeah. So I mean, it's still KPU season. We're still hunting hard. We got ticks everywhere. You're looking for furry death kittens.
Yeah, I was going to go out today, and I actually should have gone out this morning because it was only, low 70s this morning. But when I looked at the weather yesterday, it said that we're going to have a high of 95. I didn't realize it was going to be 95 at 5 p.m. Yeah. I should have gone this morning because it was actually nice out.
And, not that I doubt many people are hunting this time of year, but if you are, we see good movement in the like early morning or late evening outside of these heat waves.
Mm-hmm.
Tonight there'll be no movement, too hot.
Yeah, it'll be really late.
Yeah, after dark. But early morning before the heat wave, it's almost like they know that there's going to be some heat. And so the next podcast that we have coming up, we're going to have Bill from Spartan Forge on. Mm-hmm. Bill has done a ton of research and data collection and all this stuff, to predicting deer movement or trying to correlate, radio collar deer study. And that'd be a good question to ask him, is like how that pertains to heat waves and what he sees on weather patterns.
Yeah, that's actually one of the things I wanted to ask him was, because they have their predictions on when movement's going to be or when you're going to have movement outside of like their core area and, transitional and that are way outside their core and things like that. I'd like to know what the correlations are. Like, what's the secret sauce? What if they had to pick one specific day that had all of those factors they've put together?
Yeah, what is it?
What is it? And not just, hey, today's the day. Okay, well, why?
Yeah.
Give me. I don't know. Do they go in depth with that? I don't know. It's a good thing to ask them though.
We'll definitely have to ask them.
Yeah,
because I mean, we just go off our like anecdotal data, right? Like we know, like we just have patterns and stuff that where we have seen, more movement or less movement, and we're kind of just piecing it off our intelligence. So it's kind of cool to utilize like Bill's data of so much stuff.
I like how Garrett Prawl was talking about how he uses their software and where he'll be closer and tucked up closer to bedding area during when there's just that core movement predictions, and then when there's a prediction of the deer moving farther away and being outside of the core,
pinch points or stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought that was pretty slick, But either way, I think it's just another piece of the pie that we're going to be able to use. I'm actually pretty pumped to talk to him about that.
I'm looking forward to that. So, anything else you want to go over? No,
absolutely not.
We got some new bows coming in. We'll get those built up. We can answer some questions as to like what we're using, why we're using, do a deep dive on those.
Yeah, and I think we're going to do a video on arrow build too.
Yep, do an arrow build. Yeah. We'll do some scouting.
Yeah.
Talk about camera placement. But if there's anything out there that you guys want to know about, let us know because we need to know.
Mm-hmm.
We need topics. We want to know what you guys want to hear. We don't want to bore you to death.
Yeah. Yeah, never mind. We should burn at least one bridge per podcast.
We could. speaking of burning bridges, Brian Broderick from Day 6 introduced me to a new cocktail recently that is fantastic. It's called a Red Snapper. Have you ever had one of these? This is not a joke. I know that name,
I'm waiting for
that
it.
name leads to
I'm waiting for
sounding
the
a
line.
punchline. No, it's like 2 shots of Makers, splash of cranberry, a couple limes on ice.
Mm-hmm.
The cranberry cuts the bourbon, and it is really good.
Really?
Yeah, we drank about 15 of them a piece.
A piece?
Yeah, down in Nashville.
Over a 3 or 4 day period.
Yeah, over a month.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah, I bet.
Brian can put him back. He's a
Yeah, I still haven't met him yet. I've talked to him, but I haven't met him yet. He seems like a pretty wild dude.
He's a good dude. I'm going. I'm hunting with him in Oklahoma this year. So
Thanks for the invite. Appreciate it.
Well, I invited you to Kansas.
I know. Oh, how big was the ball that I dropped there? Massive.
Beach ball size. Yeah.
Yeah.
We were invited to hunt at an outfitter in Kansas
Mm-hmm.
where there are giant deer on camera. It's like a 98% draw odd.
Yeah.
I texted and emailed you.
Hey, put it in your drawing, and
then about a month later, I'm like, "Yo, did you draw in Kansas?" You're like, "Oh,
yeah. Well, I didn't exactly put in my application. So
well, no, I didn't draw."
I've had a lot of things on my mind, Taylor.
Yeah,
Gosh,
and I'm not one of them.
no, you were the one. That's why I wasn't thinking about deer in Kansas.
Well, maybe next year. The good news is, just got our new Ohio leases back.
Nice.
We have over 750 acres to play with. So
That's gonna be solid.
Yeah. And I need you to go hunt it because I'm probably not going to go.
No, I'll definitely go.
Sure you will.
Yeah, I am.
Let's see. This will be the 3rd year that we'll have a place to hunt in Ohio in like prime time place.
Mm-hmm.
First year, neither of us went. Last year, at least I went. I went twice. You were going to go.
I was ready to go.
And old peg boy Nick Yates
Yeah, the
totally.
Pegasus was the day of. The day of was
The
like,
Pegasus.
oh yeah. By the way, not going. I'm like, dude, I'm not driving up there by myself.
Yeah. I drove up there by myself.
Did you? Oh, you did.
Yeah.
And then you went up with Nick.
I drove up with
one
Nick,
at a
yeah.
time.
And I had so much fun when I drove up with Nick. I drove up by myself the next time.
I am not going with you
I
again.
hung out with, so like where we live, there, Ohio's here. We're here. And you can either drive due west past your house through the mountains
Mm-hmm.
and then end
north.
up in Ohio. Or you can go up 270 on the highway around the mountains. One route has 0 cell service. You're going up and down mountains and switchbacks the entire time. There's like no gas stations, nothing. The other route has cell service the entire time. It's like smooth sailing and it's like 4-lane highways. Nick insisted on driving through the mountains.
Shocker.
Because, well, guess what? I got to pick him up on the way. Instead of him waking up and driving to my house and then us driving up. So I'm like, okay, dude.
He's such a good hunting partner.
Love
that
him
guy.
so much. And when you are at camp, he's super helpful. He's up early. He's right on time, ready to go. He's never complaining.
He helps you plan exactly where to hunt.
Yes.
Helps you hang sticks and trees like up to 20 feet.
Always positive.
He's a good dude, though. I like Nick.
The Pegasus. I am
Pegasus.
calling him that from now on. I'm going to get some shirts made. All right. Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed our rambling. And if not, then don't listen. We don't really care. So, yeah, let us know if there's anything that you want to cover, and we'll get to it eventually.
Yeah, within a few months or so. It'll be like old news by then.
Yeah.
Hey, let's bring this up now.
Yeah, let's talk about summer scouting in mid-December. Old John 974 really wants to hear about scouting. And if you guys are on Grindr, you can find Nick on there under the Pegasus. All right, thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you soon.
Thanks.